Hola, and welcome back to Coffee and Chaos. I'm Alina, your host. Y'all know Solomon. He's I should say this, and I don't ever say it.
What?
He's our main guy. He's our producer. We couldn't live without him. I just bring him coffee and usually food.
Usually. But today we both forgot Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays.
Yeah. So normally we do the recordings on Sunday or Mondays. When I do them on Sundays, I bring Solomon food from home, my mom, Marianne, or I.
Our mama takes care of me.
Well, my mama cooks, but Marianne's the one that tells me to bring you food. But today, the boys tore it up, and the 2 pieces of the cinnamon
See
roll.
all of that?
There was 2 pieces of the cinnamon roll that were left. And as my nephew was walking out the door, he took them.
No.
And in my head, I was like, no, those are Solomon.
Yeah, see, it was in your head, but it didn't make it past your lips, though.
Those are my babies. I can't tell. And especially him. He's the one right now out of all of them that needs the most love and yes. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why, but he's the 21-year-old and he's the one that, not even Gia the 13. We're like, oh God, Gia.
Well, let's introduce your guest because it looks like you're just talking to yourself.
I know.
It's okay.
Because I'm not showing anybody else.
So today we brought on Trina.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
And then we brought on my friend Marcella.
Hello.
Hello.
And Tom was going to come. I wanted him to come, but he chose to go dancing instead.
Wow.
He's looking for another viral moment.
So Solomon is going to be our man
Of the hour.
No, they've already told me this is going to be a beat up man kind of thing. And
well,
I don't know if I'm up for defending all men today, but go ahead. Especially in an empty stomach, by the way.
Oh.
So my plan worked. Well, my podcast is it is actually pro men and sometimes anti woman. I feel like we're more pro men and like not the biggest fan on women, especially when my sister's on here. She's like,
Your
nope.
sister should be here.
Yeah, I miss her.
She'll be back soon. I keep like, she's busy right now, but she'll be back. So I wanted us to have our girl version off the version. We did the one podcast with Jimmy and Tom and Tony. And it was kind of like, why do women call themselves boss bitches? We all know how I feel about that word bitch. I completely don't like it at all. So they gave their male version about women and where they stand with it. When I watched it and took it back, I looked at it like what a lot of men forget is a lot of us are independent single women because the men didn't step up, didn't stay connected. Whether it was with kids, they were our husbands and we got divorced for whatever reason, boyfriends, baby daddies. I mean, and Tom made it clear, if you have more than one baby daddy, that's why. So Trina watched it.
Several times.
And she was triggered on a few points.
Well, I think I had to watch it a few times just because I didn't want to seem like I was being biased or trying to, or I was being defensive. I think primarily based off of what Jimmy was saying. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was triggering because not that I'm in the situation that he's like talked about how he was married and, he provided all these things, which now in my second marriage, I feel like those things that he was referring to, like, giving her everything, basically paying the mortgage, giving her a car. Those are all things that I feel like my husband now has made clear, like that's what he wants to do. It's not what I think he's supposed to. But then I also feel like it's like I explained to my daughters, I have 3 girls, like that's the bare minimum of what I feel like if you're with someone that is, you guys are on the same page and they can provide those things. It's not like I'm giving you all these things. I want to give you these things. So where it's like, where I'm not saying that Jimmy was like being, because I don't know the situation, but I guess I was like, well, you know what? My husband wanted me to have the car that I have. I didn't say like, oh, I need this car or I have to have this brand of, this type of model of car or you should pay the bills because you're the man. And even like in regards to him, Jimmy, I'm only piggybacking off of what he said because I was like, I was triggered. And so when he said like, oh, now my ex-wife, she has to, pay her own bills and she has to make a way for herself. So now she's this boss B.
Yeah.
Where I feel like she had always been. She always was a boss B. You just were giving her things and put her on a pedestal, and like, good for her.
Yeah.
Like, she's a queen.
Yeah.
You should be doing those things. And then, if you're in a position where you are single, which I was before, and you're raising your kids and you go to work and you're going to school, whatever the case is, you're still going to be the boss bee when you get into another relationship, But yeah, I was triggered. I was like, wait a minute, let me just watch it. Let me watch it again so I don't come off like I'm like super defensive or.
But do you think that in your first marriage and everything you went through with that, and then being single and having to do everything on your own with your daughters and everything, and then getting married the second time, you're stronger, you're more appreciative. You're definitely a different person.
I'm definitely a different person. I feel like um these were all different seasons of my life. These were all things like um I I am who I am solely because that's who I was created to be, and because my parents raised me this way, right? And then like my relationship with my ex-husband, it was all great when it was great, and then when it wasn't, I took little things from that, including all of the insecurities that I had towards the end, into my new marriage. And then like I had to like work on that. And poor thing, my husband now, just he didn't know.
Yeah.
He just knew that we were going to have this marriage, and we had agreed we were both coming from broken marriages, and we were going to, in order for us to make this one work and for this one to survive, we were going to be like open about everything and do things the right way. I mean, we're obviously never ever going to have a perfect marriage, but yes, I learned all these things, good, bad, to be where I'm at now.
Do you think that after your divorce, Marcella, you got divorced what year?
2010.
So we're in
So did
2024.
I.
Really? That was a year ago. Do you feel like, for me, going through like I don't ever like I was younger, did whatever I did, whatever. Like Javier got killed, all that stuff. But when I got with Seth's dad, everything I went with that, I think sometimes I'm even afraid to, like she said, insecurities and all this. Like it took me forever to work on that because anytime a guy showed anything, like to me was a red flag, I ran. I
Right.
ran. And I feel like I still do that. Since you're divorced, do you feel like you can, because you're single,
I am.
so do you feel like you could depend on somebody? Do you feel like we're all independent for a reason?
So after my divorce, I dated somebody for 6 years. And I chose not to take my past traumas into the new relationship.
Was that easy?
Um, it wasn't, but it was because I'm like, it's not his fault that I went through what I went through. So, and even with the ex-husband, he cheated. I never threw it in his face. I chose to stay with him. So I was like, since I'm staying, I have no right to throw it in his face.
Yeah.
So when we divorced and I got into this relationship, I didn't look through phones. I believed everything he said. And there was red flags that I chose to ignore.
And
We broke up, I think, for 2 years, got back together.
why did you break up?
A cheater.
See, I see a red flag and I'm like my friends will make fun of me like, "Oh, his toe was too long." Oh, like he winked too many times. I see anything.
That's a red flag.
Oh, like anything just makes me like I run. Like I'm just like, "Oh, I'm like a runner." Like I think it's because of what you said, your past insecurities, past trauma. Like, so for me, it all just starts going in my head. Like, oh no, he did this, he's that. He's done this, he does that.
But you shouldn't be that way, though, because not everybody's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
know.
that's maybe something you need to heal within yourself before you go out and try to find somebody.
I think I'm there now. Like I'm there now, but my thing is, my life is busy or whatever. But I'm gonna say for like a long time when I dated guys, I wouldn't live with anybody. I wasn't gonna get married because I really honestly just didn't trust men. And not only that, like, and it's not even just cheating. I worked hard for my house. I worked hard for my savings. Like I would never marry somebody, and this is really bad unless he signed like a prenup. And I don't have anything. I just have a little. You've seen my house, but it's something that I worked hard for, and the only people that deserve that are my kids. And I don't trust that people today would oh, don't worry, something happened to you. I'll take care of your kids. Yeah, no. So there's a lot more for me that I don't trust. I don't trust people in general. Like it's really hard for me to trust people, let alone trusting a man in my actual house. And I honestly will say I think cheating is like the last part that I'm worried about. It's more of the drinking, the physical violence, it's the arguing. Like you call me a bitch within like the first year or two, I will leave you and never look back. Don't get me wrong, we're in 4 or 5 years and I piss you off, I probably deserved it, right? Like I know I'm not easy, but so even the cheating is like far down on my list. I'm not worried about that, but I'm worried about all the like the respect thing. Like in our house, my mom gets mad at me because even today the dogs came in the house and she was like, "Somebody get these dogs or I'm going to start cussing." I was like, "No, no, no. I don't do that in my house. I'm going to get the dogs." Like I'm really trying to show the kids what like breaking generational curses. I'm trying to teach the kids like we don't talk to each other like that. We have to respect each other like that. But then when I get mad and say something, my mom's like, "Oh, but if I would have done that," I was like, "Well, I'll pay the mortgage."
But to piggyback off of like um you being with someone and you don't really trust like but do you believe that you do deserve to be with someone?
Oh, I'm God's child. Of course I do. Like,
Mhm.
and this is gonna sound so bad. I know what I'm worth. And I don't mean I'm worth a house or a car.
Yeah.
No. I don't care. Like, again, meet the little Home Depot man, little Mexican man. It's the way you talk to somebody. It's the way you love somebody. It's the way you think about them. Money
Mhm.
means absolutely nothing to me. So I don't care what your job is. It's I see friends with their significant others and how they talk to each other, and I would be mortified if someone ever spoke to me like that. Like, "Oh, absolutely not. Like,
Mhm.
that's not gonna ever happen." Like, so for me, I know what I'm worth,
Yeah.
and you're not going to and, I had dated a friend, and I talked about it in one of my earlier podcasts, and, we hung out for like a year and a half going to Starbucks, going to dinner. I was trying to set him up with this girl, that girl, and he finally was like, "I wanna go out with you." I was like, "You know what? Let me try it." Like, our first fight, I was a bitch and a whore and da da da, and I was like, "Oh, dear God. Like, who is it?" And I really think that that tainted me, like, again, there's no cheating,
Mhm.
but people switch up so fast. And men today men back then, if they cheated, they still stayed with their wives, right? All that stuff. Like, but today they cheat, they don't take care of their kids. I can say that. Thus, dad hasn't been around really since he was like 12. So, like for me, it's again, it's a whole who you are as a person in general.
I think too, though, I know what I'm worth,
Mhm.
but I feel that when I let somebody in, I'm a sucker for love. And I feel like when they swoon you
They
and
love
tell
bomb you.
you yes,
That is like my new word, by the way. I'm
yes,
so stuck on love bombing.
they tell you all the right things, and I feel like your worth just goes in the trash. Like, you
No.
forget,
You forget all that.
and you let things happen, and you're like, "Oh,
So that's hormonal.
but let me."
But you know what? I think if I did, I'll be honest. You have girls. You have a son too.
I have, a girl as well.
But having Seth, like having a boy, having to raise him to be the type of we talked about this, the type of guy that I would want to
Mhm.
date. Like he is very opinionated. He's very shoulders back, headstrong. Like very much takes care of me, takes care of the girls in his family. Like he is amazing, but he doesn't back down. And that's the type of man I like. But then I'm like, well, I'm not backing down, and you're not backing down. So, and I'm like, that's why I'm single. Like having him has really made me more aware of the love bombing.
Well,
Like
you've just set your expectations very high.
I think too
And
high.
like you said, you don't really trust a lot of people. And
I
you're
don't.
probably very, very like right off the bat, kind of like scoping out the person and then like, if they meet certain criterias and
But I think I also, when you listen to guys and they talk to you, like guys will tell you everything right away.
Mhm.
Like, do they drink a lot? Do they party a lot? And my biggest thing is I can't date somebody who doesn't take care of their kids because I'm a single mom. Seth's dad's not around. Loran's dad is around. Her family's around. but I can't date you if you have these kids that you don't take care of. So I will be like, "Oh, you have kids?" Like, "Oh, yeah, I had 2 kids." Like, "When do you see them?" Like, "Oh, every other weekend." "Wait, you see your kid every other weekend?" And I'm over here dropping off, picking up baseball, football, like, we can't do that. Like, that's not cool with me. So I'll listen to everything he's saying, and I just think that, like, Tom always says, like, "Oh, you girls." I said, "First of all, Tom, you are one out of how many?" And now he's slowly realizing now that he's single and he's out there and he's, hanging out with friends more. And, he was married for so long. This is what we do. We go to work, we take care of our kids, we take care of our woman. This is how it is. Now that he's single and now that he's out more, he's seeing more men and more guys and hanging out with all that. He realizes that guys are not what they're supposed to be.
Right.
So now he's almost starting to feel sorry for us. I'm like, this is the shit we deal with, Tom.
Well, because they're not all like
No, they're not. And I tell him all the time, like, he's one in a million, he really is. He's
my husband's one in a million.
well, but all the good ones are married, right?
No, this world is so big. Like this, we have to get out of San Pedro first.
I did. I went to Norco yesterday and watched a bunch of people thinking they were going to fight, and they're all drunk, and I stood out of it, and I was like, okay, this is why I don't leave my house. Like, literally, they were like,
Well,
gonna
you're not
jump.
allowed to go anyways. So.
Yeah, my kid said I'm no longer allowed to go out without their permission. They have to sign a field trip. But these guys were all drunk and they were gonna jump this poor kid. Like, and I was like, oh my God, like, are we in high school? Like, then another kid, poor thing, like, I think he, like, God, I hope he's alive, but it looked like he OD'd on like fentanyl, they were saying. Like, so for me, I'm like, okay, I left my house.
You saw a lot.
Oh, I was traumatized.
You were going to I thought you were going to a concert.
And I've been to a lot of country concerts, and they are the most funnest, relaxed, like, easygoing concerts. And I'm like, yeah, no. I was like, when can I get home? I couldn't get home fast enough. But next weekend, I'm going to a concert, and I'm going with Tom and all his friends, and I guarantee you I'll be fine. Like, I won't have any worries.
Because you're going to feel safe.
Yes.
So you want someone that's going to make you feel safe. It's not going to take your home or anything else.
But it was funny because I think it was Seth. Was it Seth? One of the kids were like, "You're going to a concert with Tom? Where's his?" I said, "Whoa, easy killer. It's Tom and his girlfriend and Jimmy and his wife and me and Monique and I'm like, we're all going as a group." But I was like, oh my God, like they totally checked me. I was like, she's going, don't worry. And she's a sweetheart. But I will say this: she knows what she has. She's not dumb. She's already like, what do you need? What do you need? Okay, got it. Like, she knows, like, he's a good guy and she's going to take care of him and appreciate him.
Well, he did talk about that. He talked about how women, some women are like, oh, well, I'll be a good woman when, ABC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it makes sense because like he said, you either are that woman or you're not.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you are, I mean, I don't know if this is good or bad. I never really dated. Like, I feel like I just was I was in a relationship with my daughter's dad, and then I wasn't, and then I was just single, and then I met my husband. So I never really dated, but I feel like when you are in the situation where you're dating, you're already gonna know, like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And that person will know, like, okay, she's like righteous. Like, why would you keep dating them if you knew right off the bat that?
I said that yesterday to somebody. I have a friend who's dating, and they've been dating a while, like, let's say 6 months. She's my age, so she's 50. He's a little bit older, he's 60. And she's like, well, I don't know. We're just going to see where it takes us. I was like, to where? To your grave? Like, we're old. Like, what? Like, how much longer are you going to date till he realizes or you realize? Like, I feel like at our age, we should know within like a month or two. Like,
so do you think that if you were going to date, you're dating for the longevity of it, or you're like, you want to date like different?
No, and that's
like
my
speed
thing
dating.
is, yeah. But I think times have changed. Like when we were younger and you hooked up with someone,
What's hooking up? What's hooking up?
That is like, well, the first night that I ever kissed Javier, like that's all we did was kiss. We were never inseparable other than when he was in jail. He was in jail one time for 6 months, another time for a few. Like other than that, like, but we never talked about it. I never, even like Seth's dad, I will say this, like when he kept trying to go out with me, and I finally gave in. I just knew like, this is it. Like I'm not going to speed date like you said. I'm not. So I think now that's another thing is like I don't want to date Paul and then go date Peter and then date Zach and then say, okay, well, like either it's there or it's not. But I feel like guys today,
Our age?
yes,
Okay.
are the single ones are players and liars and cheaters, and social media makes it so much easier for them. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I actually just went on a date with somebody, and
Tell us.
oh,
Oh.
it ended that day, that night, actually.
Okay, how did you meet him first?
A dating app.
Oh,
We just talked about that.
well, at least you didn't end up dead in the basement.
No, everybody had my location.
Okay.
Did you meet him in a public place?
Yes.
Okay.
It was at night. I had to work the next day, so we went to Denny's for ice cream,
Oh, okay.
and
Who set that up?
he did.
Okay.
And
But maybe it was ice cream. That way, if neither one of them liked it, they can leave right after.
Like
instead of
at
the
what
whole day.
time?
it was late. It was 9:00.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, why so
Well,
late?
because I don't get off work till 6,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then I don't know what time he gets off, but
Yeah.
I work late. But there was automatically when I saw him, I was like, yeah, no, I didn't feel anything.
There's no physical attraction.
No, and I think it's because we were texting back and forth for a little bit.
Mhm.
And he said to me, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm telling people you're my girlfriend behind my back. And I was like, you don't even know me. Like, how are you telling people that I'm your girlfriend?
How old is he?
He was 48.
Did it-
We both were like,
I'm
oh.
like, wait a minute.
So then I'm like, okay, I'm the one asking all these questions. Like, do you have any questions for me? So he was like, yeah, am I your boyfriend? And I
How
was
long
like,
were you guys?
a week.
Oh.
I'm sorry for my facials.
Oh. So wait. So you guys matched on social on the dating app,
Yes.
and for a week you text. Did you guys voice talk?
No.
Oh.
Ooh. How was his voice?
It was manly. It was.
Oh.
So he was actually really good looking.
Okay, I was
green
going to
eyes,
say
and I was
because
just
you
like,
said there wasn't an attraction, but you
No.
think it was based off of like the
Then
text,
I think once
He
the
was too
texting,
needy?
the boyfriend
yes.
thing.
Yeah, I'm like, how you don't know me? How am I your girlfriend already?
Oh.
So then I asked him like, what kind of music do you like? I think within like the texting, we had already broken up like 3 times.
I love that.
He's 48.
See,
That's
but
scary.
isn't this what texting and social media has done? And this is another reason I think that, like, again, sorry, because Tom's been on here a million times. You know, Tom didn't have any social media when he started the very first podcast. And he had like just a normal everyday phone. We forced him to get a better phone. We forced him to get social media. Sometimes I
He
feel
doesn't look like someone that would be peer pressured to do anything.
Right.
sometimes I feel like we created a monster. Like, and because I remember we were talking, I said, go out and spread your wings. So the texting, the like no phone call talking, like I feel like voice talking is so old fashioned now. People don't actually want to
No,
talk.
everybody wants to text.
Yeah, but it could have been like a girl on the other end for all you knew.
Right. So
I hope you weren't sexting. Or wait, hold on.
no.
How do you say that, Solomon?
Sexting.
Sexting.
Yeah,
No.
sexting.
Why are you so quiet over there? You just
I'm
letting
just
us,
listening to the stories here.
just letting us bash you, man.
No, that's not bashing.
And so far, I haven't heard any bashing.
Okay, good. So go on.
No. So he was like, can you send me a picture? And I thought maybe it was because there is a lot of catfishing out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I sent him one. Like, well, can you send me yours? So he sent me his, and I was like, okay, it's the same person.
Yeah.
But it's like you created this you created this profile. You have these pictures.
But you didn't want to talk to him on the phone?
After him saying,
No, before you met him.
no.
I'm so chismosa, I would have been like, call me. So wait, what are you doing right now? Where are you at? And how many baby mamas you got?
Well, he had 2, and both of them were cheaters. So I'm like,
Oh, he got problems. He has to fix. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh.
So you guys broke up that night.
Well, no, we didn't.
They
We were
broke up a
supposed
few
to meet
times.
on
Oh.
Sunday. Yeah, 3. We were supposed to meet on the Sunday, but he's like, hey, can we push it out till Monday? Because I don't know what time my daughter's mom is going to come pick her up. I'm like, yeah, sure. Monday comes around. He texts me good morning.
Was
And-
it like, good morning, babe?
Well, no. So he went from good morning, beautiful to good morning.
Oh, okay.
Ew.
Well, they broke up.
So Monday, I was like, I'm not even gonna, mention, are we gonna meet? I'm just gonna leave it alone. Everybody was like, just give him another chance. I'm like, no, like I'm done.
When
No.
you left Denny's, did you give him a hug? Did you give him a kiss? What did you do?
He hugged me. Well, number one, he didn't open my car door and we were parked right next to each other.
He was like, bye, Felicia.
No, he's like, I'm parked next to you. I'm like, yeah, I saw you drive up. So I had to get out first and then he got out of his car.
Okay.
But he did open the restaurant doors. But
Okay.
he did give me a hug and then a hug goodbye, but no kissing.
Oh,
I was
okay.
just like, please don't kiss me.
Mm.
And then he also texted. He's like, I wasn't sure, like, if you were bothered. Were you okay? I was like, oops, the facial expressions. My bad. Yeah. I didn't care how good looking he was. I was just not feeling it.
So you are very open to dating. You go out there, but you're not like you live on your own. You pay your own bills. You do all that.
Yes.
And you're not worried about like again, maybe because I don't leave Pedro. I just look at some of the guys. Like I got a text on Friday night from an unknown number. I found out later who it was. At like 9:52 p.m. First of all, if you text me at 9:52 p.m., you don't know me very well because I'm almost snoring. And it said something like, what you going on, come. That was it, COME. Next text said godmothers. And I was like, oh,
What?
weird. And and I actually was awake and I was actually on the phone with a friend and we started laughing about it. And the friend was like, who is that? I was like, I don't know who it is. Like, so I put question mark, like, no response. About 5 minutes later, ha ha ha. Next response. About half hour later, sleeping. Like, did you just think I happened to have your number? But the first texted, like, I think what he was trying to say was, what are you doing? Come to
Wait, so
Godmother's.
you know who it was?
I didn't know who it was till the next day when I had some girls put that number in their phone and the name popped up. So I found out who it was. But my thing is, I don't ever go to Godmother's, but I went one night on my lunch break this week to support Daniel, who was the DJ on my last podcast. So no, anybody that knows me knows I don't go there. You're texting me that late at night. And Lexi said she hates, when she came on my podcast, uneducated text messages.
I was just going to say, why did it spell like that?
And I don't. I'm always like, it's text. But when I read that, I was like, ooh, this is a Lexi moment. Like, absolutely not. Like, I never responded again. But for me, I'm like, this is the shit I get. Like, should I one day go online and do the online dating? And I'm like, I just can't do it. And again, it's not that I'm just not for the bullshit.
So here's the thing. I was not about putting myself out there. Home is my safety zone. Nobody can hurt me. Nobody can touch me. Nobody can tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I recently put myself out there on an app.
Can we ask you what app it was?
Hinge.
What
Oh, okay.
made you come to that? Like,
So I was in a relationship for 6 months. He passed away.
Yeah, we're gonna save that. Like, that was
Okay.
a hard one. We're gonna save that one. Yeah.
And
he's been gone how long, though?
It'll be 2 years.
Yeah. So now you're like, okay, I'm gonna put myself back out there.
No, still wasn't in agreement with putting myself back out there. In the field that I work in, I work with a lot of men. I'm out on the field sometimes with the area manager. We shoot the shit. We have conversation, and I'm like, I miss this. I miss what I had.
Because
And-
it's lonely. Like, people think, oh, you're so independent and strong. I'm like, yeah, but I go to bed lonely at night sometimes. It's like you do miss having that companion.
Yeah, but sometimes even if you're in a relationship and you're sleeping with somebody,
You
it
could
could
be
be
lonely.
lonely. So
yeah, and you should not
Yeah.
feel like that.
So it's not that I felt lonely. I missed that companionship. So even then I was like, you know what? I miss it, but I'm not putting myself out there. And 2024 hit and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put myself out there in the streets. So let's try
She's
this
from
out.
the streets.
So let's try this app.
That's a good way of thinking about it, though. I didn't think about it like that.
So
I guess
trust me, I'm like this close to deleting it because you get catfishers, you get scammers. It's just, You don't know what's real and what's not. So my thought process was always like, I'm gonna meet somebody through a friend, through a barbecue,
Mhm.
Because there's
something.
someone out there for
Yeah,
you.
people are like, "You go to church, meet." I said, "There's crazies at church too."
Mhm.
Oh, but, like, how did you tell us how you met Mike?
Um,
And I
s
love her husband, by the way.
when I was married to my ex-husband, I was working with a girl who was dating someone, and he was at the Longshore Memorial Hall, and she asked me to go with her, drop off lunch or whatever. So I went with her, and Michael, my husband now, came up to me, and we were talking about whatever we were doing there, and he had asked me for my phone number, and I said I was married, and he goes, "Oh yeah, well, if it doesn't work out, whatever."
You're like, "Fool, I'm married."
Yeah, and then 6 years later, I was divorced, and I ran into him at a bar, and he was like, "Oh, do you remember me?" And mind you, my husband's 15 years older than me, but he doesn't look his age. He looks younger. And I said, "No, I don't." And I was telling my friend that was sitting next to me, like, "This old man is trying to talk to me." Like, and she's like, "Just talk to him." Like, I used to bartend. I was bartending back then. So I was like, I know how this works. Like, I don't want him to think like, oh, these girls just want me to buy them drinks. But I ended up giving him my phone number that night. And then he texted me the next day. I think it was Thanksgiving, and asked if he could take me out. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I obviously was single and going to school and working. And I had been, my ex-husband had, we went through what we went through. He cheated on me and whatever. I don't have anything bad to say about my exes, my babies, my daughter's dads. But I don't want to be in a relationship. This was the only time since I was 15. I had my first daughter when I was 16. And this was the only time that I had to like actually focus on going to school and doing what I needed to do to at that time I knew like, okay, I'm not going to be with anybody. I don't want to be with anybody. I don't trust men. Like I wanted to take care of my girls. But he kept texting me, and
He knew
then
what he wanted.
yeah,
He
well, he had been married twice before to his son's mother. So I think we both were just at a place where now looking back, I mean, we bring different things to the table.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, he took me out on a date, and a at the time, I was living with my parents, and I hadn't lived back at home since I was a teenager, and I was in my 30s since I got divorced, and so it was just a different dynamic for me, and he started taking me to dinner every Friday night, and he was just like a
Consistent.
complete gentleman, which I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I liked I was my daughter's dads were like not bad, but, like, it's like you like the ones that are just,
Yeah.
like
We all like the bad boys.
yeah, and he was, established, he had his own thing going on, and I think it was like a no nonsense type of thing. He wasn't looking to, like, just sleep with me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think we established that right off the bat, and we started hanging out, and 11 months in, he was like, "I think you should move in with me."
Were you scared?
We never even talked about it, and I was like, and I talked about it to my mom, and right off the bat, because my mom was like, "You should marry him.
I
You know
love
what I
your
mean?"
mom.
And I was like, no," because I went, boo boo, my ex, I went through a lot, and I needed to heal
Yeah.
and I didn't even do any of that until after, obviously, we
But I
got
think he
married.
helped you heal too,
Yeah,
because he
no.
showed you what a good man.
Well, I think because also he was super patient with allowing me to like one continue to raise my girls, and two, like he set boundaries, I had boundaries, we weren't like um crossing the line. And then I thought to myself like I obviously have a father that was in my life all my life. So it wasn't like I had daddy issues and I needed a dad. And I think I was like I didn't want him to come off that way because he's older than I was.
But sometimes daddy issues can be, which I tell people is, you had a good dad, and
Yeah.
I love your dad. He was around. We look for those qualities in a man we're gonna date that we see in our fathers,
Hmm.
and we're let down a lot,
Yeah.
especially because your father being from a totally different generation. Like, for me, like, I think that's my problem. We've talked about it before. Like, I had 2 amazing grandfathers. My sister's dad, which would be my stepdad, was amazing to me. I have brothers that I grew up with that always protected me. So it's not like I'm anti-man. I was just anti one man who was a monster to me, who I allowed to cover the entire umbrella of men for a long, long time.
Hmm.
And now I realize that I'm older and I'm mature and I'm healed and I have forgiven that monster. Um, I now do look for men that have the qualities of my dad's schizophrenic, so I got a different part of him, but the qualities of my grandfathers, the qualities of my stepdad, like, and I don't call him stepdad, I call him my dad because he helped my mom raise me. Like this morning, I looked at the ring at like 8 a.m. and there he is putting fertilizer in my grass. Doesn't call me, doesn't tell me he's doing it, but he's amazing in that way, you know.
Hmm.
So back to the daddy issue thing is, it's not that you had daddy issues, but you're probably looking for the qualities in these men that you didn't find. But I feel like you found your husband is so similar to your dad now. Like the qualities, he takes care of you. He's good. Like your parents have been married for how long?
Uh, 40, 49 years.
And we don't have to get into what me, you, and Selena talked about, but they're happily married.
They're disgustingly
Yeah,
happily married.
they are very happily married.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say much
Yeah.
on that because my oldest daughter would be like, "Why did you even go there?" Like, yeah, no, they're gross.
So, but I feel like you and Mike will be married until you both go home to heaven. You know, like you
I
guys will
mean,
be.
God willing, like, yeah, no, I obviously am very, very thankful, and I think that's why a lot of the things that were being shared on your podcast with, or even all of them, like everything kind of resonates with like my mindset. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, oh my, he's right, and I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
everyone. So I'm not the only one. Not
Oh,
that I
yeah.
thought I was the only one going through things, but I know when you started talking about dads, I thought I was going to get super emotional because that is one of the things that even though that's not what I was looking for at the time when I was sitting at the bar and my husband was he wasn't
And
my
the old
husband
man
then.
was hitting on you?
Yeah, and he was talking to me and he was saying, like, oh, because I said we're divorced, and he said, wouldn't you like to be with someone who would now I guess this was him trying to spit his game. Is that what it's called? He was trying to get at me. He was
trying to
like,
hook up with you?
yeah, he said, wouldn't you like it if you could be with somebody that wants to take care of you and your girls financially and like whatever you do, like that's yours, and
Where's our guy like that? Why can't we walk into a bar and he's sitting there
and all
telling
he
us
talked
that?
about was his job and his boys.
Aw.
Right. So at the time, I wasn't looking for anyone. So didn't need to hear like all that. But then it resonated like, oh, those are like very important things.
Qualities, yes.
And now they all tie into one another because like he's like everything.
And he meshes with your family so good. Like
He's
really.
like, he's officially Samoan. He's
Yeah.
Samoan. He's
Yeah.
officially Samoan. He's not Mexican anymore. Just kidding.
Does he
Yeah,
have the
no.
tribal tattoos?
No, no.
He's like, I'll pass on
No,
that.
but I did tell him if you get another tattoo, it needs to be like a Polynesian girl with a grass skirt and all that, all the good
Wait,
stuff.
and that long, beautiful hair of yours, it's not
And-
extensions, right?
No, but nothing against the girls who have extensions.
Oh, no. I just said that because Daniel in our last one was like, no extensions. And I'm like, like I said, I was blessed with hair, but some girls, hey, do what you got to do.
I know, but it looks so good.
Yeah. Oh, I met a girl that had extensions. We won't say who. And she's gorgeous. And she had some long, beautiful extensions. But I thought it was her real hair.
Yeah,
Even
see,
asked her.
I think if it looks like it's their hair, then they did
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah. So are you going to stay online? Like, I feel like you're so much more open to like try it and be happy and trust men. And where I'm like, what you got going over there?
Honestly, I don't know. I might delete it or maybe try different ones. I don't know.
But I heard Hinge was a really good one. And Bumble.
I think what I need to do is
Not Plenty of Fish, though.
no. Is I need to find who I am outside of being a mom because that's all I know.
Mm.
That's hard.
Yeah.
And especially when we had kids early, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And then honestly, like these apps, these men are like mid to late 40s, 50s. They have young kids.
Mm.
And I'm like, ugh.
yeah, I'm not doing that.
I got grown kids.
Yeah, I don't think. I could
And they're
date
open to
somebody.
having more kids.
Do you think they're open? Because
Maybe they're open just to
yeah, because Suzanne said that she's like, once I see that, I'm done. I said, but maybe they put that in case, like if you wanted kids, you're not going to put no more kids because what if you did, then he's lost somebody, right? Like, so I'll just put I'm open to kids to see what that person says. But you're like, no way.
Yeah, no.
no kids.
No.
You're like, I don't know about this app.
I just feel like, my kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
It's my time to enjoy life. And
I
I've
always say
never
that.
brought a man home, ever.
You've never brought a man home?
No. So after I got divorced, the guy that I dated right after him, I was with him for 6 years. That's the only one that has ever met my kids. Any other, no.
I brought guys home, and again, I think I'm cold-hearted, and
You said cold-hearted?
I'm very cold-hearted. Like, and I know I think I screwed up Seth the most. I very much have made it clear, like, you could come over, you could hang out. Like when Seth was younger and didn't know guys spent the night, I was like slick about it, right? But at a certain point, when your kid is old enough to know what's going on, nope, done. So you could come over, but you gotta leave by like 9 or 10, right? And so he's like, "Oh my God, your son, it's not him, it's me.
Yeah.
Like you have to leave." Oh, well, does your son want to go to dinner? No, my son doesn't need, the three of us don't need to go to dinner. And so I made it clear to my kids, they're not your dads. That's one thing I am proud of myself is I've never allowed someone to try to be their father.
Mm-hmm.
I did date somebody for like 2 years who he comes from a really, really good family. And so I would allow Seth to be around this family because I wanted Seth to see what his dad was really good. His brother was really good. He was just a little crazy. And I wanted Seth to see that, but it didn't last.
You wanted him to see the crazy?
No. But I always made it clear to my kids, like, you don't get emotionally attached because mom ain't getting emotionally attached. I actually think I screwed up my nephew too, the 30-year-old, that poor guy. I screwed up, like him and Seth are very much like they're almost like they're runners too, and Seth is like, oh no, she marries too much of this, she's out. She does this, she's out. Like, but I think that was me because I was never emotionally attached and anything I saw that wasn't okay. But I wouldn't let guys spend the night. I don't let guys spend the night. And I know now, like, when grandma goes to heaven.
Yes.
Trina laughs at me the way I talk about grandma.
Not the way you do, the way Seth did.
Oh. I'm gonna have to date at some point, right? But I literally, like I said, I'm so worried about I know that, like Solomon says all the time, your list is so high. I think my list is simple. I am very
to you.
I am. But I know that I'm opinionated. I know that I'm headstrong. You're never going to make me do drugs. You're never going to get me drunk. All these things, like, it's never going to happen. I know exactly who, what, and where, and how I am. And I know that that's hard for a man to understand. But what they forget is I became this way because let's just use Seth's dad and I didn't work out. And there was a lack of fatherhood there. And so I refused to allow another man come in and be his father, which then means I refused another man to come out and be a husband to me. So should I look back? Should I have changed that? Maybe I should have done something different. Maybe.
But it's never too late.
But my thing was I was never going to allow a man to put hands, yell at my son, say anything to my son. I chose my son over men, right?
Yeah.
But Seth today is like, Mom, like, go out, have fun. Mom, do this.
Yeah.
And when mom goes out, stuff like yesterday happens. And I'm like, Mom's going to stay in the house where it's safe, where it's like, where I'm good. I'm trying to, but I feel like I've become too independent. I've become too strong. And it's never what I wanted. But I also couldn't sit around and wait for Captain Sabo to come find me.
Well, those aren't bad. Those aren't bad qualities to have.
But Solomon always says my thing's too high.
What, Solomon?
I'm just counting the times you say Captain Save-A-Hole.
Uh,
You always say that.
Because I
Oh,
have so many friends that are
Uh-huh.
that. And for me,
male friends that are Captain Save-A-Hose.
both. Now that you say that.
Okay.
I have male friends that are Captain Save-A-Hos, and I have females that are just waiting around on a couch, literally, for someone to come save them. And I guess for me,
Well, no one's gonna find them on the couch.
well, they're not literally on a couch. They're,
Oh.
they're at the
Selena.
Green Onion, and so for me, I wanted my kids, especially my daughter, especially because she's a lesbian and she's gonna be self-sufficient, right?
Mhm.
I wanted her to be independent. I wanted her to be able to take care of herself. I wanted her to see her mom was able to do this, and we don't wait around for people. If somebody came by and jumped on that treadmill with us at the same pace we're going, great, but it didn't happen. So I raised them to, like, we go to work, we pay our bills, we're Mexican, we're proud, like all of these things. And I feel like maybe I was on that treadmill for so long, I never looked left or right. I just kept going forward. Like, we just got to survive. We got to eat. The bills got to be paid. You got to go to work. You got to go to school.
But you know that your kids are going to be fine.
Yeah, because I raised them.
Yeah.
Like, now they're like, yeah, like
they are great adults.
They're my babies.
And they're going to be fine.
And they're good. But my thing is, I won't go on social media. I want to go somewhere like you did and meet my Mike. But do you agree that there's more of the men, of players, cheaters, scammers, as you called them, all this stuff, than there are of her husband?
Oh, yes.
Like, her husband, obviously, it sounds like to me like he saw her 6 years before, saw her again, and I'm not letting go because now she's divorced.
Right.
So, and back to my friend who I said was dating someone 10 years older, like, how do you not know 6 months in? Like, we're not getting younger. Either he's the person, and for the guy, either she's the person, or I love to say, get out of the way for the right person.
Well, you would know on how she knew on the first date.
Yeah, I was done.
Like, she knew, even though he looked good to her, and she just knew.
He was really good looking with green eyes.
So what was the thing that turned you off? Just
The
because
texting.
Because he
Him
was
saying
too
that I was his girlfriend.
Was
You
it
don't know
jokingly?
me.
Was it jokingly?
No.
He was dead serious.
Yes. And then to ask me, am I your boyfriend? No. You're not my boyfriend. I don't know you.
First of all, do we call someone our boyfriend at our age?
No.
Like, I don't know if I would
mean, we
introduce
would.
a guy as my boyfriend to my kids. I would be like, this is my friend. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, we know what you are. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Wait, do you want to be called someone's girlfriend at our age?
I don't know.
Solomon, do you agree?
It's more like the guy you're seeing or the girl you're seeing, I would think.
Yeah, I feel like boyfriend or girlfriend is like so.
Yeah, because I feel like even at one point I was telling my husband when I knew, like, I want to be with this man, like, and I was like, "All right, what are we doing? Like, you're 50 something years old and you want me to be, I'm going to be your girlfriend." Like, we would go places and someone would say, like, "Is that your granddaughter?" Like, like, I know they were probably
Yeah.
joking, but at the same token, I'm like, so what are we doing? Because I, at that point, was like, I want to be married.
Okay,
And
so.
he's like, I don't want to get married anymore.
Oh.
Like, I've been married twice. I've been
So
through
the same woman, it don't count.
Yeah.
He's been married once.
Right. And, and I'm like, I get it. We've been to hell and back, but like, I deserve to do it right this
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
and even though I did everything backwards, you know what I mean? Had my kids first, I wanted my girls to see, like, this is how a man is supposed to treat you. So let me do it right this time.
Yes.
But no, he didn't want to get married. He was very fearful. So I had to respect that. And then we made the decisions that we made, and we lived together, and we decided we were not going to have sex anymore until we figured it out. Because I was like, I already know that I know my self-worth, and I know that me being with someone is not just us having sex. So we didn't have sex for 18 months. And
Wait, and you lived with him?
yeah, we slept in the same bed, and we carried. Not everyone agreed with what I was doing or what we decided
How hard
to do.
was that?
I mean, it was hard. I'm in my
sound effect for
prime,
that.
and I knew that
Sorry, I had to
I
do
knew
it.
that I loved this man, so I wanted to be with
But
him.
I'm going to ask I'm going to try to think of it to say it as classy as possible. You, like, there's a body next to you that you love.
And you just wanted it.
Yes. you wanted to
Yeah.
have relations with this person.
I also was in a mindset of where I thought if you didn't have sex with me, you didn't love me. Right?
Okay.
Growing, like,
Yes.
that was my mentality growing
Yeah.
up, having kids at the age that I, so in those 18 months, I got to know my husband mentally, emotionally, spiritually more than we did in the 4 years that we were together. So all that did was solidify that, yeah, we are going to be married. And then he married me.
You put your foot down.
I used my hoo-ha to my advantage.
That must be a golden hoo-ha because let me tell you, that man loves her. But you know what? That's awesome that you said that. And it's true. And I feel like if we as women, you're right. I don't like to use sex as a weapon, but at the end of the day,
We do think that though. We think if they're not touching, if they're not,
yes.
you're not intimate, that means they don't love you or they don't want to be with you. But that's
At one point, because we're going to close it out because we're getting past our time. At one point, though, were you not worried he would go?
I had already been cheated on. So in my mind, if that's what's going to happen, then so be it. It wasn't meant to be. That's where I had to put my mind. Like, if someone put their hands on me again, if someone cheated on me, I had already been there, done that. Keep it pushing.
Yeah. I love that about you. So you got to let us know. You got to come back on later and tell us some more.
You should have been on the one about that.
Yes, I didn't know. No, but that just happened. Yours just happened. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so hers
a week
just
ago.
happened.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm also a fixer, so I got issues.
I think all women are
We
fixers.
all do.
I think that we see something, but thank God for me, I have my sister's 3 kids and my 2 kids. That's all the fixing I need to fix right there between all 5 of them. That's what I'm saying. Right now, BJ's the one that we're all loving the most. You know what I mean? But tomorrow could be my daughter. You know, it'll be Gia. It'll be like 2 years ago or 3 years ago was Seth, right? Like it was. So right now, we're fixing. We're fixing. So
You're nurturing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Solomon, you have anything to say to close this out?
Oh, I just always laugh at your list and this whole thing of my man just has to not hit me and not drink and not cheat on me. And I sit here and think, man, I would qualify for you all day long. I've never had a drink. I don't beat up women. I put people on a pedestal. And I can fix the roof. So now what? I mean, what is beyond
Can
on
you
your
throw
list?
the trash out?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do equal housework.
Do you know how to use WD-40? Because now the back door's
Yeah, I hear
my
that.
I'm
You
telling
point
you,
and spray. It's
the list
easy.
continues. And you know who I get for like the minor stuff is my sister's dad and my dad. Like he comes and fixes like all the little things for me.
Yeah,
I just feel like
you need a deeper list. Is all I'm saying.
well, no, I think what it is in sincerity is, and there's a lot of good men in San Pedro. I love my town and I love my Pedro boys. Don't get me wrong, but the good ones are married. So with that being said,
But even the married ones aren't good. You think they are.
You're right. So the married ones I know are good. But you're right. I also know a lot of bad ones. But I'm trying to be so positive because my Pedro boys, like, ride or die for those guys. So. All right. Well, on that note, it's like they're all cheaters.
She's like ride or die for
like they're all cheaters. All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Thank you, Solomon, for putting up with us.
Absolutely.
Please follow on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I have a TikTok, an Instagram, Coffee and Chaos. This is your host, Alina. Thank you. Bye. I'm gonna die for those guys.